A lot of people think that the military actually is all on the same team. This is incorrect, because why help your battle buddy when you can make your career off their backs? Guys, it's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber, and today we are checking out a campfire story from Mikeburnfire. This is Coins and Blue Falcon. But first, a word from our sponsor. Thanks to World of Warships for sponsoring today's video. World of Warships is a free PC-based game focused on tactics, strategies, and naval combat. It features over 400 historic ships across 5 different classes. You can play with friends in your division and with 44 million players around the world. Like real naval combat, success doesn't come from lightning reflexes. It's about tactics, strategy, knowing your ship, the enemies, and the environment. With living landscapes and weather that changes mid-battle, you always have to stay flexible and aware. But since you can customize your ship from the weapons down to the camouflage, you can build the ship that suits your playstyle. Unlike real naval battles, World of Warships has some collabs that are just bananas. They had recently Godzilla and King Kong as playable ship commanders. World of Warships also has had collaborations with Big Hunt and Azul Lane. They had new missions, collaborations, and events all the time. Download World of Warships using the link in the description to get a huge starter pack. Use the registration code FIRE to get 200 free doubloons, 1 million credits, a Tier 5 USS Texas, 20 Restless Fire camouflage patterns, and 7 days of premium account time. Thanks again to World of Warships for sponsoring today's video. Alright guys, let's crack into it.
Familiar with the concept of coins for the military?
Oh, challenge coins.
Yeah, challenge coins.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the concept of those?
I never went to the bars, so I never challenged or got challenged.
No, but
They're commemorative.
they're commemorative, and sometimes people will get them for different things. Like, someone in our unit got one for helping get a Humvee repaired faster.
Did you ever use
So, yeah, this is one of those things that I think the military actually got away from in the last couple years I was in, but during the days when there was a lot more funding, you would see units down to the company level give challenge coins. And these were ways of doing quick, easy, on-the-spot recognition for things. What's always funny to me is that the Army's formal award system is also, like, pretty subjective. And so sometimes the coin system can actually reward like real world above and beyond stuff that doesn't require the paperwork and the politics of high level awards, right? And so I have challenge coins that are far more valuable to me than many of my formally recognized awards. And I think that is one of the sort of the flip side of this sort of strange environment of the military, but also of the challenge coin concept specifically. And for those of you that don't know, the challenge coins originated as coins, commemorative coins that identified you as a member of your particular unit. And the idea was that going forward in your life, if you ever claimed to be part, think like World War II. I was a paratrooper. Oh yeah, I was a paratrooper. And they say, really, were you? And you pull out your coin for the 101st and they go, okay, show me your coin. And if you don't have it, right, either because you lost it or because you were a fraud, you have to buy the other person a beer. It's a fun little tradition that obviously, like everything else in the military, commanders have taken to an extreme level. Coins were originally meant to be small enough to, be like a $50 sized item, but now they've expanded. I have coins that are like the size of a dinner plate. And of course, you could never carry them in any wallet. But the preposterousness is like the flex. Your coin is bigger than your other commander's coin, therefore you are better.
use them for any purpose? Because there are some Marines who would get a challenge coin and go, oh boy, and the boot would go into a bar and see another Marine, slap down his challenge coin, I challenge you! And the other Marine would say, no. Get out of here, boot. Stop being stupid.
Yeah, only like super motivated people in the Army do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's, Private, what the fuck are you doing?
Here's the new challenge. Get out of my face.
Yeah, here's your challenge. Go away.
I mean, here's the thing. The number one way you can tell if someone actually served in the unit they claim to is to have a 25-minute conversation with them. Sometimes it doesn't even take that long. simple questions of what was your MOS, right? Even a fraudster could figure that one out. But for example, when did you deploy, right? You might say, I might tell a civilian in Afghanistan, but if it's another military member, I would say OEF 1011, right? And they would know that that meant that I deployed to Operation Enduring Freedom between the years of 2010 and 2011, right? So that's an easy way to tell. If someone says, I deployed an OIF, right? That would be another indicator that says, hey, this person's probably legit. Also, the resumes, I think, are an easy one. Nobody's going to lie about being an MP, right? The number of times people claim to be Navy SEALs or Green Berets or Army Rangers, if you claim, then there's probably 10 fake Rangers for every one real Ranger. So if someone says they were an Army Ranger, my default thought is you're full of it, right? And then they have to work to prove otherwise. If someone says, hey, I was a mechanic, I was with 3rd ID, we were in Iraq in 06, I go, totally legit. Why would you make up that story, right?
Drink this jug of antifreeze. Eat these Tide Pods!
Be careful, they might do it.
I only got 2 coins the entire time I was in the military. One I got from being in Iraq. Everybody in our unit got them. It was just the 10th Mountain Division coin. The other one I got, I'm very pleased with myself for.
See, that's what I mean. I actually once got a coin for getting another award. I was like, I respect it. This is a gigantic coin, and no one else in my entire battalion has one. It was the 89th MP Brigade. But, I was also like, don't award me for winning an award. This is stupid.
At Fort Polk, there is a unit that is the 509th Airborne Division. And 509th Airborne Division is known because they are Op 4, which is opposing force. They are the bad guys in Fort Polk.
The badass guys?
No, they're the bad guys. They pretend to be the enemy at Fort Polk.
Oh, they
So
pretend.
if you go to Fort Polk and you're in the Joint Readiness Training Center, JRTC, in the middle of the woods, shooting at a bunch of guys wearing weird olive green uniforms, that is 509th Infantry Battalion. They're airborne qualified. They live and breathe to just piss off the rest of the military.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty fun job. It also is fascinating, right? When you go through a training cycle, you think to yourself, this is like the first time you're experiencing these things, right? It's the first time you're experiencing a 50 cal or first time you're jumping out of an airplane. But in to an instructor or to like an Op 4, someone who sees this every single day, the ability to discern good from bad becomes so easy. Sort of like being a doctor, right? If you experience these like strange medical illnesses, right? You go to a hospital, you're like, help, I don't know what's happening. That's why a doctor can come in and go, okay, you feel this, you feel that. They ask like 3 questions and they're like, got it. It can be one of 3 possible things. We're going to do 2 tests for the other 2, and then we'll know which one it is after that. And so that's because a doctor, right, sees these people's weirdest and worst days every day of the week. Whereas your weirdest and worst day is, well, the worst. Similar to being a trainer or an Op 4. Someone else is like, there's no way I failed that event. I was a trainer, an assessor for cadets going through their sort of cadet field training course. That was my very first job because the military didn't have an open spot for me for a couple months in my officer basic course. So I had the number of times I had cadets go, that's bullshit. I know how to do this. You're just dumb. You don't understand. And it's just like, listen, cadet, I have seen 400 people to navigate this course, and you were one of the worst. And you can break it down. It's so easy. It's like transparent. Like they really think there's like a subtle finesse art to it, and there sort of is at first. But after you're 400th person, you're just like whatever, right? It's obvious when someone is totally killing it. It's obvious when someone is at the bottom of the barrel. It's obvious when someone has a certain set of skills, and it's obvious when they don't. Right? That's how it's got to feel to be those Op 4, right? Someone believes that they're like great, and it'd be so fascinating to talk to them and be like, okay, no BS. who's the best unit in the Army? Like, not who's the hardest, not the one with the best physical fitness, but like, who are the people who actually used tactics that confused you? Who are the people that were hardest to detect, who hit the hardest and fastest, right? That's what I would want to know. Who did you struggle the most with? That's what I would really be curious to know. Because that would help you learn, right? Maybe the 82nd Airborne kills it every time. And it's just like, hey, physical fitness, Ranger qualified guys, working 12 hours a day, that's the secret sauce. But maybe it's other units. Maybe they're like, yo, 2nd Infantry Division just kills it every time. We don't know why. And it's like, hey, I'd like to know why, you know? Anyway, that's the sort of data that I wish the Army would collect, and maybe they do, but it probably just sits in an archive somewhere unused.
And I absolutely love them.
They make your life difficult. Why do you like that?
Because they made life difficult for everybody else, not me. Most of the time, the rifles that the M4s or M16s that they have, they rarely actually shoot live ammo through them. Most of the time, they just fire blanks through them. Because that's most of what they're doing, is just pissing off the rest of the Army and making battalion commanders rip out their hair and go, oh, those bastards! Because they could just be absolutely infuriating. They have whole trench and tunnel systems dug all over the place in JRTC that they'll just pop up out of nowhere. I was at work one day, and one of the guys from 509th came in. Apparently, they did not have a battalion armor for 509. And he's like, I have got 500 M4s that I need to get gauged. They have...
I have been in that exact situation. Was it 500? No, I think it was like 200.
not done weapon gauging on them in a long time. And we actually have a range that we're supposed to be going to coming up. And I need these to get gauged.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it'll be a pain in the ass, but I mean, I can do it. Sure. So he brought all of his M16, he brought like 3 or 4 shopping carts. I don't know where he got shopping carts from. Brought like 3 or 4 shopping carts down that were just filled with M4s. Some of them were kind of dirty, but it was, it wasn't a big deal. It didn't take me that long to gauge an M4.
So you knocked them out pretty quickly.
So yeah, I knocked it out pretty quickly. It took me like a couple hours, but I got them all done, wrote them all up on paperwork. Like, weapon gauging was done at this point. Such and such ones were found out of spec. Replaced the parts that were found out of spec. Yada yada yada. Thanks, you helped me out so much. This is great.
So here's the thing: the best trick I had in the Army, especially when I was an executive officer, and I think Mike figured this out too, or Zach, sorry, is that you make so many friends by just doing people a solid. Like you said, it was a couple hours of work, it was a pain in the ass, it wasn't really his job, right? But just to do it and to be no BS about it, right? He didn't make you go, well, you gotta check with my lieutenant, you gotta run it up through battalion. Like, nope, just, hey, drop him off, I'll get him done, come pick him up, I'll give you a call. That level of like doing someone a solid pays dividends down the line in ways that often you don't anticipate, right? I've had it where fobs that I used to like help out with security for, long after we had left, I would have my patrol stop there because they had the best food. And I would see them turn away other units that would come in and be like, hey guys, we just want some hot chow, right? Because there's always units patrolling and running missions in everyone's sector. And because we had a good, solid relationship, and because we'd been team players, we would be able to be like, hey, we drop by for chow. And they'd be like, yeah, it's 32 extra guys. Yeah, no big deal. Or 15 extra guys. Yeah, we got you. Right? Makes a huge difference, right? When you're out there kind of driving around patrolling, to be able to just score some really nice hot chow. And it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't been like, no drama, no fighting about it. Just, hey, we need you guys to do this or that. And you go, okay, I got you. No worries.
I needed to get this done, and I didn't have any way to do it. I really appreciate it. I was, yeah, no problem, man, whatever. So I helped him out. And it's like, I could have told him to pound sand, and it wouldn't have mattered. He's not affiliated with my unit. He's not affiliated with a unit that I'm supporting in any way.
You didn't have to help him, but
No.
you felt an obligation because you're a human being.
Well, and he asked
Well,
nicely.
yeah.
There you go.
He was like, thanks, man. Next time you're out at JRTC, we'll make sure that you don't, we'll try not to shoot at you. And I said, oh no, don't do that. You got to shoot at me so that I can go to the Burger King that's right down the road from the medical station. So, next day I'm at work. The lieutenant colonel for 509th Infantry Battalion came down to my shop and gave me the 509th Infantry coin.
Nice.
As a way of thanking me on behalf of the 509th Infantry Battalion, I present you with this coin. He gave me the coin, and so then I jokingly told people that I got the 509th Infantry coin for aiding and abetting the enemy.
Okay, that's pretty funny. But also, that's a huge thanks, dude. That says that the 509th must have been having a meltdown over getting these weapons gauged. For the battalion commander, the lieutenant colonel. So to give you an idea of how many levels above Zach that is, so Zach was an armorer, right? He would have had a section chief, so an NCO. Then he would have had an executive officer at his company level. Then he would have had a commander at his company level. Then he would have had probably an XO, and then finally a battalion commander. So this is someone 5 levels above Zach coming in and being like, specialist, you saved our asses. Which he did. 500 weapons in a couple hours gauged, paperwork squared away, everything done. Yeah, that armor probably told his battalion XO and was like, yo, I got all 500 weapons gauged in a day. And the XO was probably like, you did what? And he goes, yeah, I just asked this armor from the other unit. He did it. And that XO's jaw must have hit the floor. Just because, again, the military bureaucracy is so big that it is a battle to do anything. Just a dogfight of paperwork and phone calls and cajoling and ranting. So to be able to do something with no drama, especially something as tedious as gauging weapons, it must have been just flabbergasting.
I got a coin from 509, something that very, very few people outside of 509 they're going to get one of those coins for. Mm-hmm. I was very pleased with that one.
It's surprising how certain ribbons hold different levels of value to the soldier or Marine.
Wasn't it Napoleon Bonaparte said men will fight and die for a little piece of colored ribbon?
You and I both got the National Defense Ribbon. We don't care. You pretty much get that for signing up.
You get it for graduating basic training.
You got your Iraq Service Medal, which I guess holds a little bit more value.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It shows that I was in Iraq.
I got a good behavior ribbon, so I spent 3 or 4 years without getting into a drunken brawl or punching my commanding officer.
Yep.
I think the award that means the most to me is the Expert Marksman Award that I received in boot camp. Mm-hmm. Because I was in basic training for 3 months in California, and it only rained 1 day while I was there. On rifle qualification day.
Ah, perfect.
So I'm trying to aim at this target 500 yards down the range while I'm being pelted in the face by this ice-cold rain, and I hit Expert Marksman.
I mean, okay, I'm just gonna. The idea he hit the nail on the head, right? That these guys have formally awarded decorations that pale in comparison to their informal decorations, right? And I mean, I think that's a cool story generally. Here, actually, I'll show you the challenge coin that means the most and then the second most to me. Let me pause it real quick. Okay, all right. So the first one is the 1st Infantry Division coin. First off, the 1st Infantry Division knows how to make a coin. It's not over the top, gold, silver and gold, right? It's not over designed. And the back is a little over designed, right? Duty first for excellence, da da da. So this was when I came back from Afghanistan, right? And most soldiers get a no questions asked 30 days of leave. You're actually, I think, required to take it. But I had known the guys from my MMA gym, right? I trained and had actually fought before I deployed. And so they knew me and liked me. And when I got in, they were like, hey, the Army, Fort Riley specifically, is standing up an Army combatives team. And we're going to go, and our medium-sized post is going to put up a team, and the 2-star general's on board, and he wants to see this team win all Army, right? Which would require, of course, beating out the combatives teams from like the 82nd Airborne and the Ranger Regiment guys and Joint Special Operations Command. Like, it's a tall order, right? But we're like, totally, we can do it. We have two Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, a judo black belt, a MMA fighter, professional MMA fighter, acting as coaches, and the generals agreed that they can try out anyone on the post, and they can select and put on orders anyone they want. Well, they came to me the day I landed in the United States and were like, we want you. We know you can deliver. We've seen you fight in the cage, right? You've got the talent, and we know you can perform under pressure. And so I was like, well, a year in combat, like I was kind of planning on refitting, but I also am like, when someone comes to you and is like, hey, how do you feel about being a professional athlete? You're like, yeah, okay, sign me up. And so, I had to go to my boss and was like, hey, sir, like, I actually am not going to take this mandatory leave. I'm just going to train for 6 hours a day. And he was just like, what? And they're like, yeah, I explained the situation, and it had to go up to my battalion commander, who was like, okay, like, I don't really get this guy, but okay. Like, we obviously weren't planning on having him do anything else, and instead of losing him for 30 days, we'll just lose him for 90. But it's like, we weren't really going to grind him into the dirt anyway. So I did it, right? And for 6 hours a day, which is, again, maybe the top tier of professional MMA fighter, carefully managing their training volume trains that. We did nothing but train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, like a lot of strength and conditioning. And but we went to All Army as a team, and we ended up taking second, which was infuriating. It was extra infuriating because some of our B team, who wasn't the official Fort Riley team, they were like the something else team, right? Some of those guys advanced like way further than our A team, and like if we actually took the top performers from our base, we would have handily won. But in recognition of the fact that a mid-sized post did manage to beat out all these elite level units, the commanding general gave us these challenge coins. We had kind of wanted RCOMs, but you take what you can get. Again, so like this was like a tremendous amount of effort. The other one I am immensely proud of is the Task Force Bastogne. There you go. It's actually a coin just for OEF, can you see it? OEF 11, right? So this was the Task Force Bastogne, 1st Brigade, 101st Airborne, was the higher headquarters we fell under for basically the whole deployment. And when their commanding colonel, so a full bird colonel, right, wanted to get out and go on a patrol. This is a guy who spends most of his time in an office reading about tactical briefings, reading about the environment, and hardly ever goes out in it. And so I'm going to say once a quarter, he would leave his post and go patrol with a selected unit. Now you can imagine that protecting a brigade level commander is a huge deal, because the Taliban would love to kill or capture a brigade level commander. Not only that, but the brigade level commander plays by his own rules. And those rules sometimes include not wearing a helmet, or sometimes I think not wearing body armor. That is high stakes. And so what platoon do you think did they select to facilitate this person going on a combat patrol? That's right. 1st Platoon of the 116th, yours truly. And so this was probably the most stressful mission where nothing happened of my entire military career. Because literally, even though I knew the entire village he was going to for like the back of my hand, we were on like a first name basis with the shopkeepers, right? This was still just like a lot. And it was right across from our base. And the level of planning was so much greater than any other patrol I'd ever done. And the fact is, if you screwed up, your brigade commander was going to be on your ass, right? Your battalion commander would get in trouble for your mistakes. And can you imagine the fury that battalion commander would have if he got a phone call from the brigade commander that something had gone wrong or that the unit had looked sloppy. So, needless to say, it was just clenchingly scary, right? To have like, not only to know that if the enemy was to know this was occurring and was able to get forces on the ground in time, it could be a catastrophic defeat for the U.S., but also to have the just highest, like, the highest possible level of headquarters observing you as you did it was just like, yeah, it was very tense. But we got back. Everybody got checked in. We cleared our weapons, and somebody was like, "The brigade commander wants to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, fuck!" And he gave me the coin, and I was just like, "He's just like, you did great, LT. Thank you so much." And I was just like, "Oh, thank God! Oh, thank God!" Yeah, it was intense. Anyway, that's that story. Okay, let's keep going. I hope you guys enjoyed that memory lane trip.
I hit my shots that day. The thing that stood out to me was that the range officer handed me an expert marksmanship medal that he had on him. I didn't have to buy mine like everybody else. He just randomly gave it to me for doing
That's
this.
really cool.
Yeah. It's one of my... I don't have very many fond memories of boot camp, but that one stands out to me.
While I was in basic training, we came back from one of the ranges, one of the longer ones. Spent 4 days out in the field. We'd done a bunch of shooting with our M16s, stuff like that. I sat down on the floor, and I took my M16 apart, and I started cleaning it. And I was like, it's got to be clean. I'm going to have to turn it in eventually, so I'm going to clean it, because I just fired a bunch of rounds through it and a bunch of blanks through it.
You were preemptively cleaning it because you knew you'd have to turn it in.
Also, we had come back. The drill sergeants had said, okay, well, get your stuff cleaned up, get your stuff taken care of, get laundry ready to go out, do whatever. Do stuff. Be productive. So I'm sitting on the floor cleaning my M16. I suddenly realized that I couldn't hear anything. And I looked up, and I realized that it wasn't because my hearing had gone away.
Everybody's asleep.
It was because everybody had fallen asleep.
Been there, done that.
And I'm kind of struggling to stay awake, but it's like I'm busying myself with cleaning my M16, and also it's a burst fire gun, so of course I'm excited about any time I get to do anything with it. I'd never handled an AR-15 before I went into the military, or an M16, so I was just excited anytime I got to do anything with this gun.
Your excitement for having an assault weapon in your hands was fighting your exhaustion.
Yeah. So I was just diligently cleaning this thing, and I realized everybody's asleep.
I mean, that's the number one way to stay awake, right? Is to be busy and in motion, and to have something occupying your mind. This is why the most likely time to fall asleep is during guard, right? Which when you're guarding a tower or something, you're just sitting there, right? You can't look away, right? You don't want to look at your phone. You don't want to put in headphones. And so, yeah, you just sit there and do nothing, but you can't fall asleep. And it is boring as all get out, and it's a high likelihood of falling asleep, right? The least likelihood is when you're doing something like, you know, you could jump out of an airplane on 48 hours with no sleep, and you'll be wide awake for it, right? So there's obviously a range of activities that, you know, will increase your likelihood of staying awake.
Right as I realize this, I look up, and one of the drill sergeants walks into the bay. And the moment a drill sergeant walks into the bay, the first person to see them is supposed to jump up, stand at parade rest, and yell, "At ease," and then everybody has to jump and stand on the line. I'm about to jump up, and he looks at me and points, and it says really quietly, "Don't you say another fucking word."
Yeah.
And I immediately shit my pants, because I am terrified now. And I just nod. He gives me the thumbs up, writes down my name on a piece of paper, and for a second I'm like, I'm going to be in so much trouble. He goes around, he writes down the names of like 6 or 7 other people that are still awake, cleaning their guns or doing something. Does the same thing to every single one of them. I basically got a out. That was like all I could do. It was make a small squeak. Because I did that, nobody else had heard anything. So every single other person does like the exact same thing. You just hear 6 or 7 just from like different places inside the bay. He walks out, and I just keep cleaning my rifle. I just won't say anything. I know I'm being a Blue Falcon right now, but I don't want to get yelled at by this drill sergeant.
It's too late. He's already seen they're all asleep.
5 minutes later, the drill sergeant comes in. I look at him, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Get the fuck up." So I jump up and yell, "At ease!" Immediately, everybody else jumps up. They're bonking their heads on the bunks and, like, falling over, and everybody just, like, staggers in the front. And he just goes, "Hazard, Jenkins," lists off this list like we're the ones that are in trouble. And he goes, "You guys stay here. Everybody else get the fuck outside and get in the pit."
Oh no, not the pit. They're gonna make you do exercise.
Push-ups, front, back goes, rolling left, right in this pit. I'm just sitting in the barracks room, like, holding the bolt in the sling for my M16 and looking out the window, just going, "I'm sorry."
I wish it didn't have to be this way.
Like a lonely sailor's wife just watching out in the distance, like, "Will my husband ever come home?" She's crotchety. "Where is he?" Man. Yeah, been there. Not falling asleep is hard. Not falling asleep is hard sometimes. But, like, here's the thing. Again, every drill sergeant has to know with virtual certainty that that happens every single time. All right? Because this is not their first cycle. Maybe it was this drill sergeant's first cycle, but most of the time they've done 20 plus cycles. So for them, it's just like, it's easy. It's okay, right? They're like, of course, after the big 4-day field training exercise, of course they all fall asleep, right? It was probably a good platoon maybe would have 15 people awake instead of 6. A bad one might have like 3 or none, right? But yeah, these games, they act like they're really original, and they're sort of, I'm sure, fun, but yeah, they're not that original.
This is the way it is now.
Ooh, that was a fun one, guys. That was a great one. Hey, thanks a lot. First off, thank you to World of Warships for sponsoring this video. And as always, thank you to the channel members who support this channel all the time, right? Who actually vote on the Friday reaction videos and get priority access to join me when I stream and all that. Excuse me. And yeah, thanks so much. And I'll see you in the next one.